Hello, everybody. Welcome to East Coast DNA. Guest today, we have two guests today. I guess there's a dog somewhere in the background. So,
Yeah, that's Cookie. She just wants to say hi.
Cookie, is it Cookie Minnikin?
Uh, yeah,
Technically, and Gabriel Minnikin.
yeah.
Thank you. First of all,
Thank you.
I appreciate you reaching out. Now, just to start things off, I did a little bit of research on you, and I know that you just sent me some new information there to digest as well. So I may have a couple related questions to that.
For sure.
Your name itself, I was familiar with your name, but I'm going to be 100% honest. I couldn't quite place it. Usually, when that happens with an East Coast artist, I know that they've done a lot of collaborations with people that I know,
Right.
and you definitely fall into that category.
Yeah.
So yeah, your history is like a virtual who's who of the East Coast scene, especially if you go through the East Coast DNA filter, because they are definitely people that I'm familiar with.
For
So
sure.
for people that are new to you, including myself, when we get down to this level, where did you start your path into a music career? You're always Nova Scotia based?
No, not
Okay.
always. However, yeah, it did all begin here. I come from a musical family. My sister Ruth kind of, I guess, put the spark under me to, you know, come on, do something. The get up and go was encouraged by her.
Hmm.
I didn't really think anything of me being able to play music as anything special or different or unique or anything. But she uh, she said, "Yeah, what I can do is pretty unique, and not everybody can do it." But then again, we are from the Maritimes, and you do have to get out of the Maritimes to appreciate what it is that we have
For
here in
sure.
the Maritimes, because there may be pockets of what we have here in other places in the world. However, we're spoiled. We're everybody
Yeah.
here is so incredibly talented.
Yeah, yeah. High concentration of musical talent in a region does also lead itself to kind of making people a little bit better because either the people that you're around are influencing you to push you up that way, or on the flip side of that too, if you're trying to create a career in that area, you have to be a little bit better or a little bit unique.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
your yourself now. One of the key things with you, besides the fact that you could sit here for hours name dropping, is that you're a multi-instrumentalist, which
sure.
technically we have a few of those around, but
Oh yeah, we're everywhere.
from going through your resume, though, you do have quite extensive experience
Yeah,
with different projects, playing different instruments and coming at them from different perspectives. But then you also have your solo career and a duo project as well. I'm aware of your partner from that through another podcast. So a quick shout out to Zachary Miller out there.
oh Zach, yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah. Down in the valley there.
yeah, where's your home base these days?
I am. I'm in Halifax. Yeah, I'm Halifax, Nova Scotia, on the east coast of Canada. Yeah, it's where I've been hanging my hat for a number of years now. I spent some time overseas from about a decade, I guess, after touring there back in the 1900s.
Yeah.
Um, After a number of tours over there, I reached out to fans and friends and considered the move. I was torn between kind of Glasgow, Scotland, and London, England, and Manchester, kind of like in the middle. And I ended up moving to Manchester for nearly a decade, and that
Okay.
uh, just enabled me to move around the world a little bit easier than returning to Halifax, Nova Scotia all the time.
And now we do tend to feature why people stick to the East Coast or why they return to the East Coast or why they migrate to the East Coast. But I am curious in your case, what, aside from the location providing you with the ability to travel to multiple points, what else was keeping you over there? You must have had some type of musical community that also made it feel a
Yes,
bit like
big
home.
time, big time. I don't know if you know much about Manchester, but holy cow, Manchester has got a different sort of pride in their art,
Hmm.
and yeah, the architecture is beautiful. You know, all different types of ancient architecture mixed with new interesting architecture. The art scene is definitely thriving there. Obviously, the that's come out of Manchester. Basically since the hacienda, again back in the 1900s, and it influenced me as a teenager, and then when I got to tour there as an adult, I really kind of fell in love with those places, Glasgow and London, but most of all Manchester.
That's one thing that maybe some people don't realize so much when they think back to the 1900s, as you say.
Yeah,
So the 90s are referenced quite frequently on the show, especially because a lot of the younger artists that are just up and coming now, their influences are people that were performing in the 90s that maybe their parents listened to or their cousins tuned
yeah,
into. Like
of
that's,
course, yeah,
but for those of us that were alive in that era, we remember Seattle and the whole grunge scene being
yeah,
a huge thing, especially in media. It definitely was reflected in the youth of the day.
yeah.
But getting towards the late 90s, a lot of people are aware that Halifax was kind of being spotlighted as like an up and coming, like next Seattle. But parallel to that, there was also a lot of attention over in Europe and some of the cities that you're talking about. So I do find, from a personal point of view, that's kind of sat by the sidelines and watched a lot of careers, I do find it interesting that you ended up spending time over there. So, kind of a follow up to that, the
Sure.
transition back to Nova Scotia to be a permanent resident here again.
Yeah.
You say about a decade you were gone. So, like, how did you find the difference as far as the arts and music scene when
In
you
Halifax?
reestablished yourself? Yeah.
Yeah, it, yeah, yeah, I don't know.
It dried up pretty bad at one point, I know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it dried up pretty bad, and things became real clicky, and no matter, I feel the experience that might be on my resume, and I still contribute to the art scene here in Nova Scotia. But yeah, it's a pretty like you gotta know someone pretty cool
Yeah.
to 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 maybe get considered for something.
Yeah,
Um,
that's definitely sentiments that I hear echoed.
yeah,
Maybe I know quite a few people these days too, so maybe I hear it more often than some people, but I
yeah, no, yeah, I just feel like yeah, things were a lot more community and
mhm.
collective. Like everybody was kind of like out to support one another. There were a lot more venues in Halifax than there are now. There are only maybe two or three venues that you can play at these days here in
Yeah,
Halifax.
I do find that funny because we do talk about venues quite a bit as well. And I mean, some of these are actually recorded in some venues, but I do find I didn't necessarily spend a lot of time going to shows in the city in the 90s because of my age.
Sure.
But as I got older and started going to shows, I definitely found that I started going to like some of those big shows, like it would have been the Metro Center or like Citadel Hill festivals where you get a good bill of like half a dozen bands or something in an
Yeah,
afternoon.
yeah.
I do find that these days, besides the fact that it's been a few years since we've had lockdowns and things are kind of back to normal, there does seem to be and this is me being a little contrarian here too.
Sure.
I do find that although a lot of people are saying exactly what you did, that there's only a couple different venues to play at, especially in HRM,
Yeah.
there are quite a few opportunities for live performances out there, but to very small crowds.
Yeah.
There's a lot of a lot of bars are almost like cafes now. Like they're just little tiny bars that hold like up to 50 people maybe, and then they'll have smaller gigs, and then even some of these rooms that you see around for some of the independent bands that need a little bit bigger of a space, like you're not often seeing crowds like above 200, 250. Like that's a huge crowd for a lot of alternative indie bands these days. I don't know so much in the more traditional circles, but you seem to teeter back and forth on that line where you've got your foot a little bit in both sides of those genres.
It's well on all genres, really.
Yeah.
I'm not really pegged to one genre, and I kind of like that. However, the industry doesn't. They need to know
Yeah.
some sort of consistency of your art. Where are you playing? How long are you playing? How many people are coming to your shows? What are you doing to help yourself?
Yes.
So yeah, no, I've played every genre for all kinds of artists all over the world, and same with the business. The music business. I seem to be horrible at just like I'm not an administrator or
Sure.
a content creator, but people call my art recently content, and I guess that's what I am. I'm a content creator slash artist, maybe in brackets. I don't know.
Hmm. It's
But
it's hard to avoid that content creator term these
yeah,
days. Like I know a few other artists probably similar to yourself.
yeah,
They're just out there doing what they always did. But
yeah,
that label of content creator, as soon as you start posting anything on social media, you fall into the definition of it, which isn't
yes,
necessarily what you're trying to do.
no, no. But that again, you know who your audience is, and if you're
Yeah.
not being allotted 30, 45 minutes by your province once a year to have a showcase where industry professionals are all gathered at one time, then
Hmm.
where are my opportunities to showcase my amazing abilities?
So I do in the description for this episode, for anyone that's watching, there will be a little bit more detail on some of those name drops that I mentioned. I can
Okay.
I'll put a little brief bio there for you as well. But I do know that in the timing of the East Coast DNA being in existence, we were originally my brother started this with me so we could feature kind of the reemergence of the music scene on the East Coast, which really snowballed quite quickly and became a thing that like I could do an episode every day if I wanted to at this point.
Yeah, man, no doubt.
Yeah, so you in that time frame did have your fifth studio album out,
Right.
and now here we are 3 years into it,
Yeah,
and you're preparing to release your sixth album.
correct. Yeah, I couldn't really promote the fifth one because of COVID and the timing,
Yeah,
but I did get over to the UK to do some shows and a couple around the Maritime provinces, but I didn't really tour it or promote.
sure.
But yeah,
So
for six.
was there anything that preparing for the new album that you learned from that release, or did the world kind of return enough back to quote unquote normal that you were able to just do the sixth album kind of the way that you wanted to do the fifth album as far as being able to book tour dates and start your promotions?
Uh, yeah, no, the world hasn't really changed all that
Hmm.
much. I, yeah, the struggle is real on how to promote yourself. Have people return your emails like
Yeah,
yourself,
yeah.
and, phone calls.
And quick little shout out. I've noticed in your t-shirt there, Hogtooth, HRM based band as well. So is
Yeah, go
that
see Hogtooth. You have to go see Hogtooth.
it? Now I know at least one of the guys does sound and stuff as well. So is that somebody that you've collaborated with that way, like that you've worked with before?
No, I'm just a fan. I
Cool.
just go to their shows.
Amazing.
I just go out and try to see live music, the independent artists, no matter what they are. But they're fucking awesome. Oh, sorry, pardon me.
Yeah. Oh
They're
no,
pretty,
fair enough.
they're pretty incredible.
Yeah.
Big gig going out to promote independent live music, then go see Hogtooth.
There you go. So that kind of leans itself too into another genre as well. So you are kind of you've mentioned it yourself. You kind of bounce around between all different types of music as far as your interests and what you're able to perform with. So what can people expect out of the new album?
Synthesizer. A lot of synthesizers. I've worked with synthesizers before, but a lot of the hooks are synth based for uh, a poppy sounding record. The
Cool.
producer Dan Ledwell, um, he he was steering the ship pretty much. It was just the two of us predominantly recording the music together.
Hmm.
We did have other guest musicians and singers come in, but it was just really easy working with just him and I. And it's a poppy sounding record with synthesizer hooks.
Cool. So now I know in past experiences, I see you a lot with acoustic guitar in your videos. I see references to you playing like accordion, and you've like I said, name drop wise, you've played with quite a few people. I saw Blue Rodeo on the list there, and you're mentioning Dan now and
Yeah,
some special guests on the new album.
yeah.
Did you grab Jen while you were there to do any vocals or anything?
Lance
Okay.
from yeah, your viewers probably know aquaculture.
Yep.
So snagged his awesome pipe. Had him
Cool.
singing on the record. And my sister Ruth, can't go wrong with her. The best singer in the Maritime, Ruth Minnikin. Uh, no, Jen didn't sing. Dan did. Lance, myself, and Lorraine, and my friend Louise from London. She was visiting one day when we were doing vocals in the studio, so we got her to come in and sing. I used to sing with her a lot in the UK.
Cool.
Yeah,
The Lance one, he was an early guest on the show as well, and
awesome.
I'm impressed constantly to see he's another person that you can't really put him in a genre.
No, no,
Like
no, no, no.
if you
He's
put him
unique.
in a studio, he can do anything.
That's right. Yeah,
Yeah,
no, it's important to be versatile. It's important to be unique and down and just game. Just like yeah. I don't know if
yeah,
I've ever done that before, but whatever. Let's try it.
yeah. No,
And
I love that vibe with artists around, especially because it leans itself, like you say. We want to have communities that are all supporting each other, and if we pigeonhole ourselves too much, it's hard to collaborate with a lot of different people because there is so many different varieties of talent around here. So the
yeah,
fluidity really is important. It's
well,
inherent in our jam bands and some of the festivals that we see with people collaborating on stage. So,
just to your point, I believe right now they are on a tour called Better Together.
oh, there you go. Even better. I love
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah.
So now in preparations for this album, I know that you're planning a album release party.
Yes, that's right.
So,
Yeah, the I don't know when this is going to be aired, but yeah, it's coming up Saturday, October the 26th. It's it's at the Peggy Corcoran Music Room on Lady Hammond Road in Halifax.
and now that's not a venue that I'm super familiar with.
Yes.
Now, what led you to selecting that for your album release?
Going about 20 years ago. is when I released my first solo kind of Gabriel Minnikin record. That was an incredible night. Actually, two nights at the Peggy. It wasn't the Peggy Corcoran Music Room then. It was just called the Met Music Room then.
Okay.
Anywho, the record was recorded in the attic of the old Khyber building on Barrington Street in downtown Halifax. The studio then was called the Mullet. Up all the way upstairs in the Khyber building. It was a fantastic, unique environment to make music, and that's where I made my first album. I chose the Peggy Corcoran Music Room for my sixth album, which I'm releasing at the end of this month, because it's where I released my first album 20
I love that. Now I'm curious, kind of picking at the threads there a little bit. I tend to make few assumptions, so I'm going to try to rephrase those as questions here.
Sure.
So working out of that area 20 years ago,
Yeah.
a lot of people are familiar with the name Khyber these days because of Joel Plaskett.
Yeah, down at the Khyber, right?
Yeah, and
My sister Ruth sang on that album.
okay, and that's where I was going to get to next too, is that I do see that in your list of collaborations that you've worked with Joel Plaskett and with Sloan.
Yeah.
Does that tie into that era? Do you know those guys from working in that area at that time in history?
Uh, yes. But to go back even further, this is Halifax, Nova Scotia. This
Yeah.
is where we are all from. And um, my school was a rural one. My sister and our school was petite, and we didn't have a home economics department. We didn't have an industrial arts area, which meant we had to be put on a school bus every Wednesday afternoon and taken into the school where Joel Plaskett and Ian McGilligan, Rob Benvey, and Thrusham, basically, where they went to school. And there's only a year between us. So then, you're in grade 7 and 8 and grade 9 with these people. And then we go to the same high school. And then, it's just, it's an incestuous place, like full of talent.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, Joel and I had, I had a band for I don't know what it was, some sort of talent show. He played drums in the band. I think I must have played guitar and sang. And then we had this guy called Droop on bass. And I mean, we did like, Sonic Youth covers and
Cool.
I don't know, maybe Beastie Boys or Tragically Hip or whatever was, popular to us at that time. Kiss, maybe we did a Kiss song. I can't
Oh yeah,
um, but yeah, so anyways, yes, that's the history of, and then, of course, um, you know, uh, we lived on Kearney Lake Road. There was a band called Kearney Lake Road, like Sloan, Super Friends, everybody, like the Flashing Lights, all the we all came from the Clayton Park, Rockingham, Birch Cove area.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it didn't really seem like all that different that like that everybody, like we all grew into Sloan, and then Thrusham had ceased to be Thrusham, and it was just Joel Plaskett, and Charles Austin is still on the scene recording music for anybody and everybody here in Halifax every day. And he was in the Super Friends with Matt Murphy, and then like it's it all started I guess as teenagers, and then
Mm-hmm.
moving up through it all.
And I hope that anyone that's watching this that is one of those up and coming musicians that I mentioned, especially since a lot of them do have influences in those names that we just referenced.
Right.
That is something to kind of keep in mind too, is that kind of organic community that's built from being around each other and supporting each other it is something that I do see starting to reemerge in
Oh,
small
I hope you're
pockets
right.
everywhere.
I hope you're right because
So
since
they need to
returning,
do it. They need to do it because we're going to push each other and elevate each other back up to that level again too.
absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
Everybody's got their cards so dear to their chest, and why would I help you out, or why would I give you information, or why would I,
Yeah.
like it's like, no, man, you have to.
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
you know.
I probably share information more than I should, but it's kind of inherent with the fact that I run a whole media thing that I'm that's what I like to
You're in the
do is
information game,
communicate.
my friend.
Yes, absolutely. So we want people to go out there to your album release party. Are there advance tickets available or is it an at the door thing?
Yeah, yeah, sure. Yeah, my email address is the one that I've given to you. I don't know if you want to post it or I can say it.
I'll put it, you can say it, but I'll put it down in the description below for people as well.
Sure. Yeah, it's F for Friday, G for Gabriel, M for mother, and then the abbreviation for corporation, which is simply CORP. So it's FGMCORP at outlook.com. And yeah, there's I think we sold about half,
Okay.
and we have about 2 weeks to go. So
Yeah.
yeah, any help, there'll be some available at the door regardless. But yeah, by all means, we appreciate the extra bit of promotion. So thank you.
And now I always ask the artist, even if I don't do it during the recording, if it's a show that I'm considering stopping by and I'm talking to you in advance, merch table. You're gonna have an album there, I imagine, or do you have
Well,
a
no,
physical
this is a
copy?
digital release, just a
Okay.
digital release for now, and I'm gonna literally take a show of hands at the show,
Ah, I like
and
that.
then if anybody's interested in it, then I'm gonna have vinyl printed up, but
Cool.
only if there's an interest. I've carried merch around the world,
Mhm.
um, and I find yourself carrying vinyl records, you're carrying around CDs, you're carrying around everything, T-shirts, and but I just find that people are now just looking at you and going, "Are you on iTunes?" I'm
Yeah.
like, well, yeah, I am. However, I've paid for all this lovely merch right here, available for you to sell, to buy right now. I brought it all the way from Nova Scotia to wherever you are, Germany or whatever. And like, oh yeah, well, I'll catch you on iTunes, or
Yeah.
Apple or Spotify or whatever. So um, if there is a demand for it and people, I feel again the East Coast audiences do appreciate that, and
Mhm.
so if I have enough interest and people are willing to put their names down for me, and then I'll make vinyl specifically for them.
Perfect. I like that. That's also something that people may not realize too, is that those limited print runs of the past, that if you're trying to be a collector and
Yeah,
get those catalogs,
yeah,
it wasn't a mastermind marketing ploy. It was affordability and finances. It was just what was logistically feasible at the time, and
yeah.
scarcity creates the collectability part. So that's just how it happened. So
Oh my word, yeah. But you're speaking right to me because I am a collector and I do. I really I'm picking up what you're putting down. But a lot of people are, I don't know, neither here or there. So but when you do buy the ticket for my show on Saturday, October the 26th, you do get the code for the free
cool.
download to the album. So it's just with the purchase of the ticket for the attendance.
Perfect.
But then, yeah, you'll get one when you come. So
And now, for anyone that wants to get a little taste of what you have to offer, is
sure.
there anything from the album that's available in advance of the release party?
Well, you can check out my Instagram page, which is just Gabriel Minnikin Music. Go ahead and smash that follow button. Listen to my lingo. Oh my word. And then, yeah, there are some videos there of the recording process,
Cool.
which was done here in Nova Scotia, out in
Mhm.
Lake Echo. And yeah, you'll get to see and hear what you're in for on October 26th.
I did see a few behind the scenes reels there that looked like you had a fun time. I did
Oh, yeah,
see
it was
you had a
absolutely.
good crew with you there too.
Oh
So
yeah.
are the people that performed in the recording all going to be at the release show as well?
Well, the album is predominantly just Dan and myself,
Okay.
and I don't know if you know. However, Dan is pretty well a member of Aquaculture,
Mhm.
and Aquaculture are currently on tour, promoting their Better Together
Mhm.
collaborative projects that are hitting the road. So unfortunately, the people who contributed to my album will be on tour
Yes.
promoting their art.
Excellent.
So if you can't be in Halifax October 26th, then go to one of these cities where
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
the Better Together tour is happening.
So it would be a little bit more intimate rendition of songs from the album for people.
No, no, I do have a live band. It's just
Okay.
the band that I'm performing with didn't contribute to the album.
Oh, fair, fair, fair.
So the first set will be predominantly me by myself. They have a beautiful grand Steinway and Sons piano there, so
Amazing.
it's always delicious being able to have the opportunity to play at that. I'm going to be doing the first set solo, maybe with a musician or two, um, playing my songs over the last 20 years, the songs I released at the music room 20 years ago and up until this point. And then the second set, the band will come out and we'll play the album start to finish, and some old classics and a very special encore as well.
That actually sounds quite amazing. The piano piece, I was actually just about to bug a couple of my artist friends about the fact that I haven't seen anyone whip a piano out on stage recently. I have in the past. I'm kind of craving a little bit of that. So
Yeah, me
I
too.
feel like you're gonna scratch that itch for me. So
I hope so. Yeah.
yeah, amazing. So if anybody out there is interested, like I said, there's information down below in the description. If you're listening to this on Spotify or one of the streaming podcast versions that are audio only, there's still the description there somewhere, so you can find the details there. Get out to watch the show and stream the album when you can. So is there a pre-order for the streaming as well?
I'm just sending everybody to my, yeah, there can be. Just send everybody to my Instagram, Gabriel Minnikin
Perfect.
Music, and I'll send you the links, and we
Amazing.
can take it from there.
Great. Well, thank you very much for your time.
Okay, thank
And
you.
definitely reach out to us again in the future because I suspect that with this album release and that party, that this is just kind of a renewed presence of you in our East Coast environment. So now that you're able to get people out there and get some of these promotions going, I'm sure that it'll start to pick up speed quite quickly, and we're going to hear a lot more from you in the next couple of years.
Thanks, brother. I appreciate you. Fingers crossed.
I'll see you at the show.
Okay, all the best.
Bye.
Bye.